David Hollinger was skiing with his wife Hannah and two young sons Finley and Toby when disaster struck. Photo, Hannah Hollinger. Claudia Tanner 1 Minute Monday, February 25, 2019. The father of two is a qualified British mountain guide. He suffered a stroke after the fall caused a blood clot in an artery, making progress in his recovery slowly and can stand aided family fundraising for robotic-assisted physiotherapy. A professional mountain climber was left with locked-in syndrome after he fell and lightly banged his head on a family day out skiing. Dave Hollinger fell backwards after his ski hit and bump in the snow and hit a post last March. He was rushed to hospital where he was told he'd suffered a small neck fracture but otherwise seemed fine. But within hours, the father of two had a devastating stroke in the brainstem, caused by a blood clot that had formed in an artery as a result of the injury. The 43-year-old couldn't breathe for himself and was totally paralyzed including his vocal cords, and could only communicate by blinking. The 43-year-old is passionate about the outdoors. Photo, Hannah Hollinger. His wife Hannah said doctors told them he would never recover. Dave has climbed some of the world's most challenging mountains such as Mont Blanc, yet we were at a family-friendly ski center and he wasn't going particularly fast, she told I. It was a very unlucky accident. They said he would never be able to breathe for himself again or walk or talk. But they don't know Dave. He's a very determined person. Months in intensive care. Dave, who is a British mountain guide, which means he has obtained the highest mountaineering qualification, was working as a senior instructor at outdoor training centre Glenmore Lodge in Cairngorms, Scotland. He and his family had relocated there 18 months earlier from Sheffield. He was enjoying a day out at Lex Ski Centre for Mother's Day with his wife and their two sons Finley, 8, and Toby, 4, when disaster struck. Hannah, who is a neurological nurse, was the first to recognize the signs he was having a stroke, and raise the alarm. Dave's family were told he was very unlikely to make a recovery, but his wife say is determined to get better. Photo, Hannah Hollinger. Basilar artery strokes are often fatal and can result in locked-in syndrome, which occurs when the body and most of the facial muscles are paralyzed but consciousness remains and the ability to perform certain eye movements is preserved. Dave was saying how lucky he'd been that his spinal cord wasn't injured and he'd only suffered a fracture which would take about 6 weeks to heal with a neck brace on, said Hannah, also 43. Suffering locked-in syndrome is devastating for anyone but especially for someone as active as Dave. His work and whole life is the outdoors. Hannah Hollinger. Then all of a sudden he can't move, tack or swallow. His only way to communicate has been painstakingly spelling every word out through eye gaze technology. Dave has spent 7 months in intensive care and since September has been being cared for at a rehabilitation unit. Suffering locked-in syndrome is devastating for anyone but especially for someone as active as Dave. His work and whole life is the outdoors, making progress, but despite his poor prognosis, Dave has made progress with his recovery. In June he came off his ventilator and he can now move all of his limbs, and stand with the help of physiotherapy staff. He has been having speech therapy and can say the names of his family. The brain is an amazing thing where with practice it can learn new pathways to send signals through, said Hannah. The muscle needs to be moved plenty of times, by physio staff or robotic equipment, for the brain to start registering it and finding a way to move it again by itself. I have so much admiration for how much Dave has worked hard at getting better for hours and hours every day. He's never once complained about it and says he just feels lucky to be alive. He says he is alive so there is always hope. He sees recovery as a challenge. Fundraising appeal. A friend of the family has set up a GoFundMe appeal to help fund private robot-assisted physiotherapy sessions, which she believes will help him further than NHS-funded treatment can. Dave also wants an all-terrain, power-assisted wheelchair. A member of staff can only stand there so long moving Dave's arm, she explained. With the robot physio it can be done over and over and that will give him the best chance of making a full recovery. At the moment he just has a self-propelled wheelchair so he is reliant on staff wheeling him about. He has better use of his right hand now, so he could use a power-assisted one. It would mean so much to him to be able to go for a day out in the outdoors. Dave wants to get outdoors with his two sons again. Photo, Hannah Hollinger. Our boys need their father back playing football with them and taking them out hiking and biking. Hannah Hollinger. Our boys need their father back playing football with them and taking them out hiking and biking. Dave was born to be in the outdoors. He loves being there and is passionate about helping others to enjoy the outdoors. To donate to the appeal, visit here. More real-life health news. Real-life skiing stroke.